Hello and welcome back to the Sun Belt 7 on the Transfer Portal CFB, presented by NoContextCFB. My name is Dan Keegan, and I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of the Sun Belt by the minute. I want to share with you the joy that is the Fun Belt. It was a lighter slate this week in the league. There were a couple bye weeks, so we can spend a little more time on each game this week. So we're going to run through all the action in Week 6 in the Fun Belt. We're going to go through in 7 minutes. Let's put 7 minutes on the clock, and we're going to get started in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's start in Atlanta for the only afternoon game of the day. Georgia Southern and Georgia State. That is a heated rivalry. Still kind of new. Georgia State, a newer program here. But Georgia State got out to a 13-7 lead at the end of the first quarter. Then they just kind of held off Georgia Southern for the rest of the game. Georgia Southern, every time they challenged, Georgia State was right there. The Panthers there to counterpunch. Final score 41-33, so a shootout. The Panthers created 5 turnovers, 4 picks of Kyle Van Treese. So, Van Treese has been impressive, getting the Eagles turning around from the option team to Clay Helton's more shotgun spread. But Van Treese was very generous with the ball today, I'll say. The Panthers did an incredible job with the ground game, 310 yards combined for their 2 backs, Jamias Williams, Tucker Gregg, and dual threat quarterback Darren Granger. So the 3 of those guys combined for 310 yards. So Georgia State has won 2 in a row now in the season, 3 in a row in this rivalry, but 2 in a row in this season after losing their first 4 in tough fashion. So I don't think that's the last we've heard of Sean Elliott's veteran Panthers team just yet in the Sun Belt East. All right, all the rest of the 4 games then were then played in primetime all together once. So, but let's start with the stunner in San Marcos. Appalachian State, the darlings of the college football world so far this year, they never got off the mat. They were handled with relative ease by a Texas State team that, in all honesty, has been one of the worst in FBS in the last couple of years. This, to me, was a truly shocking result. Texas State has been good at kind of nothing this year. They have a decent secondary. They do play good pass defense. So that's their only strength, really. But for Appalachian State, Cam Peoples didn't travel with an injury. Nate Noel, he's been dinged up in and out of the lineup all year, and he was really shut down by Texas State. So the Bobcats, huge win. Let's talk about Bobcat safety Torrey Spears and the play of the game. He had a huge day all around. He had 12 tackles. He broke up a pass, and let's set the stage here for the play of the game that he made. It's 24-0 in the second quarter. Bobcats have the lead, and Apps got the ball. They go down. They get a field goal. So 24-3 going to halftime. They're going to get the ball coming out of the break. So you're thinking, if you're App State, all right, we're going to get Chase Bryce in a rhythm. We're going to go down there and get a score. And, 24-10, first possession out of the break. Okay, we can make a game out of this. And this is happening. They're driving the ball down the field, coming out of the locker room. And they get in the red zone. Torrey Spears, he jumps an out route. He runs it back, 92-yard pick 6. Just like that, instead of 24-10, it's 30-3. And that's your ball game. App compiled some garbage time stats, but huge win for the Bobcats, for Jake Spavital's bunch that, honestly, I thought was kind of going to be closing out the Jake Spavital era there in Texas State. Most people didn't see it coming. I certainly didn't. Vegas didn't. It was a 19-point spread that the Bobcats covered and exceeded by 31 points total in a 12-point lead, beating the spread by 31 points. So, all right, let's take a look at the other cross-division game. Coastal Carolina went down to Monroe. They kept their unbeaten record intact. They're now 6-0 on the year. They're in the others receiving votes in the AP poll. They're bowl eligible too. So this was a weird game. It was a yin-yang game, a black and white cookie game, polar opposites kind of game. First half, absolute shootout. It was 28-14, 6 touchdowns in the first half. And then you come out of halftime, Warhawks get a quick touchdown, 20-21. No more scoring for the rest of the game. 10 combined possessions, not a single point scored after that. Just an absolutely weird game in that regard. Grayson McCall for the Chants, he's incredible, future NFL pick, but this was not the best game that he's played in his career. He did extend a couple drives, extend some plays with his legs, so he can do that. He's so dangerous with that ability, but not the best game. Coastal really needs to get that defense figured out, especially that pass defense. They give a big day to ULM and Lane Hatcher through the air, so they got some big games coming up down the slate, Chanticleers do, and they need to figure out what they're going to do in the back end. ULM 2-4, Coastal 6-0. All right, speaking of the AP poll, which Coastal is knocking on the door of, James Madison has now cracked into the top 25 here in their first year in FBS. Their dream season continued. They just walloped Arkansas State. This was a national TV game, NFL Network. The Dukes started slow. It was close. It was, tight game through most of the second quarter. Once Kurt Signetti and that group, once they unlocked Arkansas State's defense, they just made it look easy. Scored 5 touchdowns in the second half. The story of the game here for me watching this was that this was the story of the game is the Jimmies and the Joes, because James Madison had the Jimmies and Joes. The skill talent for the Dukes, they just outclassed Arkansas State. I'm not trying to be rude to Arkansas State, but they couldn't hang with guys like receiver Chris Horton or running back Percy Ajayi-Obase. Those guys were unstoppable. Todd Centeio had almost 400 yards, 394 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns. Centeio was distributing the ball, and once he got it to somebody, they were making plays left and right. So really great day for JMU's offense. And their front seven, that defense is maybe the best front seven in the entire country. They had, in the group of 5 in the entire country. So they had 6 sacks, 9 tackles for loss overall. Arkansas State had only 11 first downs in the game. Quarterback James Blackman, he was game, he was tough, but they just were outclassed by James Madison. The 5-0 Dukes are ranked. They're good. All right, and then let's wrap it up with a look at a game in the West Division, Southern Miss taking on Troy. This was promised to be a defensive battle, and it was. Troy got a good statement here, 27-10 win. They sent notice that they're going to challenge for the conference title. That's 3 wins in a row for Troy. It would be 5 if it weren't for the miracle on the mountain in week 3. For Troy, that defense is special. Jarrett Daggy was your starter at quarterback. He did throw 2 picks, so with Gunnar Watson out, he didn't exactly take full command of that job. So Troy needs just a game manager at quarterback. They don't need a game breaker quarterback. They don't need Grayson McCall with the kind of defense that they're playing. So whoever does win that job, it's going to be interesting to see where John Summerall goes going forward. Whoever does just needs to protect the ball. For Troy, Carlton Marshall record watch, 7 more tackles for Marshall. He is 30 away from the FBS record to tie and beat Luke Kuechly. For Southern Miss, another tough offensive year, it looks like, for Will Hall's group, even though that is his side of the ball. We'll see how that plays out. They need to get some sort of threat on the other side of the ball, because that defense is pretty solid. That's a year and a half now of solid defense in Hattiesburg. That is betrayed by a turnover-prone offense. All right, we went a few seconds over there. We're going to say game of the week. Every game was decided by a touchdown or more, so no real true instant classics here. But game of the week, I'll say Georgia Southern, Georgia State. High-scoring shootout there between 2 rivals. Player of the week, Todd Centeio, James Madison quarterback, 394 and 4, like I mentioned. Just got the ball to his playmakers and got the Dukes into the top 25. And team of the week, Texas State, huge upset win, just a stunning win to the entire college football world. Honestly, as big of an upset as App over Texas A&M earlier in the year in Texas. So, all right. Thank you for watching Sunbelt 7 Week 6. We're going to be back next week. A lot of good games in the league this week, including a Wednesday night. Louisiana Marshall on the Deuce on ESPN2 Wednesday night. So make sure to check that out. See you next week for the Sunbelt 7.